jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride.
And welcome to another fine edition of It's a Sports Show, a Christmas edition of It's a Sports Show. I'm Dolphin Paul.
And I'm Bah Humbug Cray.
And he's Bah Humbug Cray. Is there a reason why you're wearing a Bah Humbug hat?
Too much to do, you know. This time of year is just, it's fun, don't get me wrong, and if I had nothing to do except enjoy the Christmas season, enjoy the tree, and enjoy the stinking gifts I'm about to get, then maybe I'd be thrilled to darn death. But that's not the way it is, okay? There's just too much stuff to do.
First of all, let's start.
They should celebrate Christmas after Christmas. Have the Christmas season, but then actually celebrate it after Christmas. Because life is beautiful the week after Christmas.
Christmas has become very commercialized. I will agree with you there.
It's ridiculous.
But, you know, let's give credit where credit is due.
Santa Claus?
No, there's a lot of stressful things in Christmas. But look at this set decorated by our lovely producer, Farrah.
I heard Farrah
Christmas
made
tree.
these snowmen herself.
Beautiful, beautiful set. It just put me in the spirit. But I do agree with you. You know, there's a lot to do before Christmas.
Sucks.
I love Christmas Eve and Christmas morning.
Well, as you know,
and eggnog and food, because look at me, I'm blowing up like a tick.
You know, I have a tradition. I wake up in the morning and I bake a cake, not a cake, like a coffee cake, like a strudel cake. You know, that's my thing. I've been doing that Christmas years past. It's good. Sweet little like that, fizzle frosting on top, good stuff. Nice and warm, a little hot chocolate, a little coffee.
Isn't that the best? That's when everything's done. When all the packages are wrapped.
Right.
The Christmas tree's done.
The problem is that's not, at least for me anyway, that's not until like Saturday night, Christmas Eve night. And I got a heck of a lot to do between now and then.
And the traffic is murdered. The stores are all packed. Everybody's fighting.
Makes me want to kill people.
It's definitely commercialized, but
makes me want to kill people.
I mean, Merry Christmas, just as
after all that, Merry Christmas,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas, just the same from It's a Sports Show, our whole cast.
Oh, I can't.
You know,
get
you're not even shaving. You're
know,
starting to scare our viewers.
I'm in the wedding video business, as you know, and I'm not going to advertise my business because that's not what I do or why I do this show. But every bride, naturally and fairly, wants their video by Christmas, and that's why it's so crazy for me.
I think what you're seeing here, folks, is a man who is stressed out. There's no doubt about it.
Beyond belief.
If I say ho, 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 will I get in trouble?
Well, it depends if you're looking at 3 girls when you say it. Anyway.
Now we're all in trouble.
What do you want to talk about? How about those Patriots, huh?
Well, let's start off with the NFL.
I'd say how about those Dolphins, but we talk for about 30 seconds, and that would be the end of that. So how about
you talk about the Dolphins who have won 4 in a row and are now at 7-7?
They're done. Oh, yeah, 500 team, that's what we're talking about. At least the Niners.
Well, they only won 4 games last year.
At least
it's an improvement.
Right, man, I do need a shave. This is crazy. The Niners, at least, you have a reason to watch. Why? Because as a 49ers fan, I very much want them to lose, okay? We're in a big sweepstakes here for the big #1 draft pick next year, which would be twice in a row for the Niners, by the way, setting them up for 5 years of total bliss for eternity.
The Dolphins are past that. We've gotten past that. We were horrible for 1 year, 4 games. Now we're possibly going to win 8 or 9 games.
Yeah, you'd
so
be a
it's a step in the
team.
right direction. So we're 2 or 3 steps ahead of the 49ers.
What are you going to do when you get rid of your crack-smoking buddy there, Mr. Running Back?
He's fine. He's been a model citizen.
The Dolphins should have done a background check on him. They would have found out.
Oh, that's a whole other story. Well, let's start off with the New England Patriots. I don't know if you got a chance to see that game.
It's kind of funny now because you hear the buzz, right? Now everyone's like, oh, this team's playing great. Everybody's back. You know, the Super Bowl. But whoa, wait a minute now. Like 3 weeks ago, okay, even as little as 2 weeks ago, when you're playing the lowly Bills and who was prior to that? Well, Miami, actually. Everyone was like, oh, yeah, you know, they should win they should get into the playoffs because it's an easy division, but we're talking like 1 in and out maybe. Now everybody's starting to talk about the Super Bowl because everything's clicking.
Coupled with the Indianapolis loss,
right,
which was kind of bittersweet because they protected Miami's 1972 undefeated season.
Do you really care about that?
They didn't protect. San Diego did.
Right.
However, San Diego, in winning, ironically knocked Miami out of the playoffs.
Right.
So it was kind of a bittersweet situation there. But I would get, you know, I'm glad you said that because football is a funny sport, and I'll tell you why. Sometimes you see a team play so bad, and it's happened. The Patriots are classic examples. They have thrown up some stinkers. And early in the year, they play like an average team, but you know, they
only had an average team out there too, though.
That's true. They always have injuries, but at times, even when they won their past Super Bowls, they have these games. People aren't sure, and somehow they always play best when it counts.
They just pull it off.
I mean, that could be a credit to the coaching staff. That could be a credit to Tom Brady. That could be a credit to, maybe some players coming back from injuries. But
Right.
watching that game, you get the feeling, especially defensively, that, wow, I mean, they completely shut down Tampa Bay.
They're definitely
And
running
it
on all
almost
cylinders.
like, I think it's exactly what you say. People are saying, hey, we could
Well,
be back.
I
And
mean-
even though we have to go to Indianapolis, they got beat by San Diego. I think we can beat them.
You yourself
You're right.
is
It's
saying,
the pendulum.
You yourself is
Pendulum.
saying that when the game's on the line and they have to win it, they just find a way to win it. Are you telling me they're going to go all the way now? Because, nothing's more
I
on the
don't
line
think
than
so.
the playoffs.
What I'm saying is in the NFL,
Anything can happen.
here's a good saying that I have.
Oh, this
Nothing
should be
is ever as good as it seems, or nothing's ever as bad as it seems. I've seen some teams. Well, I'll give you
pretty
an
interesting.
example. A team like my Dolphins goes out to Cleveland, gets killed 28-0, 27-0, 31-3. A lot of teams will have that game,
Right.
and you're like, oh, the sky is falling. Next week they'll come back and they'll play so much better, perhaps even win a game.
Right.
So sometimes I just think in the course of a football season, even though it's not as long as the baseball season, it is a marathon, and you got to play well when it counts. Something
Right.
the Patriots have done probably better than any other team. The big difference this year is there's no doubt they're going to start. They're going to play the first week.
Yeah.
That's a big disadvantage in my opinion.
Sure.
I don't care if you play a weak. I shouldn't say weak Colts team, but a team that now has taken a little hit perception-wise.
Right.
You got to play against a tough physical team, most likely a Jacksonville, the way the standings are shaking out now. You get beat up in these first games. I know it all too well with Miami. They could play great that first game. Now you're going to get on a plane,
Yep.
go on a road to a team who's been sitting for a week, who's physically ready for the most part,
Right.
and it's a tough game to win. I mean, that's the big difference between getting that first round bye and not getting that first round bye.
True. However, you could play devil's advocate in that, and that's what I'll do because that's what we do best, is say you're in Indianapolis, you get a week off. Okay, now that this whole unbeaten streak is done with, thank God, okay, because I'm sick of hearing about it.
I agree with you.
Now you have the choices with Dungy, what will he do? When will he sit his players? You know that some players are going to sit at least parts of games leading up until that off week. Then you have the off week. So the flip side of what you just said is maybe a little too much rest is a bad thing. Maybe instead the Pats go in with momentum. We talk about almost in every sport, baseball and football certainly, how important momentum is. Indy just took a loss. Now, that doesn't kill their momentum. A lot of people argue and say that that's a good thing so they don't have that monkey on their back anymore. But the fact of the matter is, if the Patriots keep this roll going, it's possible that they're just like a big snowplow and nothing can stop them. Indy sits for a week, and who knows what happens. Now, to what you're saying, that extra game you got to play injury-wise,
losing
what could
against
happen?
San Diego and seeing the
San
Patriots
Diego's
play
a good
well,
team.
and seeing the Patriots play well certainly has to be on the mind of the Indianapolis Colts. Now, what you mentioned is a good point. That's a very tough balance between resting your guys, not getting them too lackadaisical. I mean, that's a fine line there.
Right, yeah.
So, in my opinion, I think this next game the Colts have, you play your guys for at least a half, maybe into the third quarter. You keep your fingers crossed because injuries could happen at any
Right.
time. You can't put Peyton Manning on the bench for 3 weeks. And the last game, you kind of, they play less, and then you get that week off, and then you have to come in sharp for your first game.
Right.
But I do agree with you. Back in '96, if you remember, the Denver Broncos were like 14-2. They rested everybody the last 3 weeks.
Right.
And what happened?
Was that
That was the famous game where Jacksonville went in there, popped them.
Right.
And then Jacksonville went to New England. That was when New England advanced on. So it is a very fine line. And, I don't think there's any set formula to get your guys ready. But
There isn't, but it all depends. If you're on fire, if Indy plays well the next week or two, then there's no reason why, they should be. I mean, if they got themselves a good lead, sit your guys late in the third. I don't even know if I'd sit them at halftime, but the great debate now is finally over as far as, well, do we go with the undefeated season? Now Dungy can treat it as, look, we're just looking to win the playoffs. What is the best case scenario to do that? A good point to bring up that people don't realize is you think about this. You take your star players out like Manning, Harrison. I don't know who else they might take out. Maybe a couple of guys.
James.
Yeah, James. We're talking offense. I'm sure on defense they're going to take a couple guys out. Now, okay, you're putting You took your superstars out, your better players out. Now you're putting more pressure on your other position players that maybe aren't superstar top-tier players, but nevertheless are just as important to get you through the Super Bowl. You put more pressure on them now and more chance for them to get injured at that point. This isn't, football where you have 200 players and you can swap out every position. It's not like basketball, okay? So you can only swap out
Yeah, but I don't
so
think
many
you
players.
can worry about that because, I mean, whatever happens, happens. You have to put players in positions, and there's going to be injuries.
But the injury risk factor is heightened when you take other players out. You know what I mean? Marvin Harrison comes out. Now somebody else is more prone to get popped because who the heck are they worrying about if Harrison's not in the game?
I think from an Indianapolis point of view, from right now, this is my personal opinion. Of course, I'm not an NFL coach, or else
You wouldn't be sitting here
I
doing
wouldn't be
sports
sitting
show.
here doing it a sports show. But I think right now they got to get a little bit of a bad taste out of their mouth, like play well that first half. And interestingly enough, they play at Seattle, which is
Right.
They won 10 games in a row, and it's probably one of the best teams in football.
Absolutely.
And probably a good chance that they'll be the representative out of the NFC.
Yep.
I think the Colts want to go in and play a good, solid half and say, hey, we can get that little doubt out of their mind. Hey, say,
Right.
listen, we played, maybe tie Seattle at the half or score some touchdowns or
Should
move the
be
ball,
interesting, man.
and then you can start systematically.
Well, the
breaking
thing is,
team
though,
down.
you take guys out. How much of it? All right, let's play it this way. They lose a game, okay? Now you go against Seattle. It doesn't matter. You could not start any of your star plays if you wanted to. It doesn't matter if
Right.
you lose the game. However, if you do like you're saying, okay, Seattle can put up some offensive numbers. We both know that. Okay, say you got yourself a 28-24 game after the half. Do you systematically start taking your players out at the risk of losing that game, okay, and breaking the momentum further of what I'm talking about, that momentum where you got the ball rolling down the hill and it's just charging into the playoffs? Now you lost 2 in a row, even though the second loss was due to the fact that you just chalked it up as a loss because you took your stars out of there. Is there still something to be said to say, Colts have lost 2 in a row going in?
No, I don't think so.
Not at all.
I think if you play well, I think from a player standpoint, they were so dominant, and now they took a little bit of a hit last week. If you
Right.
saw their faces on the sideline, a lot of people were watching that game just to see what would happen.
Sure.
They looked like they had lost the Super Bowl. I think you need to go back there, establish yourself. They say like, hey, we still have a swagger. Yeah, we lost the game, but we can still kick some butt and play well against the Seattle.
So say they're down by a touchdown throughout the
It
game.
doesn't matter. I mean, I
They
can't
get
make
that
that
swagger
well,
back
I can't make that judgment
with a loss?
I mean, it depends on how they play. I mean,
Yeah.
Tony Dungy has to see if they're doing the things they need to do. He says, hey, you know what? Let's
That's a good
refocus
point.
and get back to the playoffs. So,
Because sometimes we don't see what goes on.
but getting back to New England, because that's what most people are interested in. I mean, Corey Dillon's back, Kevin
Yep.
Falk's back. That defense, those linebackers are playing well. Bruschi, of course, is the captain of the. He puts people in the right positions.
And he's doing his thing.
Roosevelt Colvin is finally starting to emerge as the player they thought they had when they got him in free agency from the Bears.
Right.
Vrabel is tough. I mean, they're putting Tom Ashworth, the offensive lineman,
Yeah.
catching touchdowns. So right now, they're playing well. And I don't know if I said this before. To me, that whole team is run by Tom Brady. I think he was such a find in the 6th round.
Yeah.
He single-handedly changed the fortunes of this whole franchise. I know there's a lot of other players. I know they got a terrific coach.
What
but
about Belichick, though? I mean, Brady more so than Belichick? I know
absolutely.
I guess you have to execute
if
the
you
plan.
had a
but
quarterback,
who's the master of
let
the
me
plan?
tell you something. If you had a struggling quarterback, you put a Gus Farrat in that system. I don't care if you got Belichick or Jesus on the sideline. Belichick's a great coach. He gets the most out of his plays. He's got great schemes.
Right. How do you think Jesus
Watching
would do
this
as a
game,
coach?
Tom Brady. He's just progressing unbelievably.
I know,
And you wonder
people
how he
love
does
him.
it. I mean, he moves around. He throws the ball in the right position. He's a great competitor.
He recognizes defensive
Recognizes
schemes.
everything. He knows how to move. I mean, I wish he was on the Dolphins, to be honest with you. I mean, as long as they have him, there's
Yep.
a shot at beating anybody, is what I'm trying to say.
Can't tell me he's better than Peyton Manning.
Hey, listen,
Don't even tell me he's better than Peyton Manning.
listen. I don't like the Patriots. I'm a Dolphin fan, but I'll tell you what. That'd be a tough call. If you told me you want somebody in a big game, I'd put Brady right up there. I would not be afraid to take Brady over
So how
Peyton
are we
Manning.
as viewers, and NFL fans in general, and I don't think I'm speaking on my own behalf only, how are we so sucked into the whole Peyton Manning is great ordeal? Is it?
Well, he is. I mean, he is. He studies. I think there's a lot of.
He's the best quarterback in the NFL
I think
right
there's
now.
a lot of, not perception, but I mean, he was brought up by his dad, Archie
Right.
Manning. You know, he's got a brother playing in the NFC for
His
Christ's
brother
sakes.
is falling into that aura now. You can see.
I mean,
you can see
Peyton
it
studies.
unfold.
His stats are phenomenal. The way he runs the field. He's a great quarterback. Probably the top pure quarterback in the NFL. But
Having
you know,
Marvin Harrison doesn't hurt either.
Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, the running game, and you know the Chargers prove that if you fluster him, you know,
Right.
he can make some mistakes. But I mean, I mean, like I said, I joke around a lot with the Patriots, but I mean, Tom Brady's the man. I mean,
He's good.
I wouldn't be opposed to taking him, and as long as they got him and they continue to play well, everybody's pointing towards New England at the Colts.
Right.
Now, New England has to win a game before that, so we'll see how that happens and how New England treats these next two games. The Jets on Monday night, which I think they'll play well. I think they're gonna,
absolutely.
I think they're going to put a stamp on
The
that
Jets,
game.
you're saying.
Then maybe the Miami game, they'll stop pulling some guys out because
Right.
they're playing the following week. They don't have a bye like years past.
Right.
So I think the last game of the year against my Dolphins, I think they'll take it easy as far as having all the
From a
starters.
Dolphins fan standpoint, you know, they start pulling players and Miami pulls off the cheap win. Is it as
It doesn't matter. To me, I think Miami just wants it to play well. I mean, it's not Miami's fault that they're going to rest. I don't think Miami has to make any excuses.
Right.
Oh, they didn't have their guys, that's why we won, or didn't win. I mean, you don't know.
Right.
But, I mean, you have to go in there and try to improve your team the best you can for next year. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter. Miami's out of the playoffs. It doesn't, you know, if Tom Brady's there or Tom Brady's not.
Right.
I mean, they have to play. They should play to the best of their ability. I mean, if they win, 42-0, which I know wouldn't happen, yeah, it's a little skewed, but, I mean, Miami's won 4 in a row. I mean, they only won 4 games last year. They won 7 this year. They got Tennessee at home at New England.
Right.
Even if they split 8-8, you know what? At the beginning of the year, I would have said 8-8.
Sure.
Pretty decent for a team.
Well,
who's only
like
won
you
4.
said, you're-
new
you're-
coach, new program.
you're
new
advancing.
place.
And if you
Absolutely.
keep that progress going, then
I think from now on, it's all Miami. Dynasty is being
come
born.
on, don't even start with that.
Let's get to
Hey, how
some other
about-
teams in the NFL.
How about the Niners and the Saints in the battle of who sucks more, which truly has become a real reason to lose? I'm curious to know, what is the mindset of maybe not so much the players, but ownership and the coaches when you send players out there to win a football game and maybe deep in your heart you sure would like that #1 pick? You gain nothing by winning the game.
Well, I
Nothing.
don't think you can coach like that. I think a lot of
I
players
know.
have pride, but I mean,
You
right
can do
now,
nothing by
looking at the
winning the
standings, they're 2-12. I'll tell you what. I don't know how they feel about Alex Smith. Obviously, he's had a rough first year, as most rookies do, especially a guy who came from that system,
Right.
pass happy system in Utah.
Yep.
To a team that's not very good.
Right.
Roethlisberger came in to a veteran team. Peyton Manning struggled his first year or two,
Oh, yeah.
as did a lot of QBs.
And I disagreed with you at the beginning of the season when they took out, I was ready to say Steve Young because, he's, in my mind, the only great 49ers quarterback, aside from Joe Montana. But when they brought Alex Smith into the game and said he's staying the rest of the season, I disagreed with you on it. But in hindsight, you're right. You got to play the guy. Nothing
I think
beats
so.
playing the guy. When
And
you
if-
see what Manning, the younger Manning, is doing, you start to understand why you need
And
to
if
play
they
him.
got the #1 pick, I mean, you're talking Reggie Bush
Can
with
you
Alex Smith.
imagine?
That's 2 pieces of the puzzle.
Can you imagine?
Supposedly 2 pieces. Now I don't know how they feel about Matt Leinart. People say,
Right.
but I mean, if you got a QB like Alex Smith, who you invested tons of money into, I would imagine you're going to give him a few years to develop. I mean, Reggie Bush, to me, we've talked about this before, one of the best college football players of all time to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what they're saying.
I'd buy a ticket if I was a 49er fan just to see him play. And you know
Yep.
what? I'd watch a San Francisco.
He's a
football
guy
game.
that'll start
That's
week
how much
one.
I like the guy. But you got Houston, you got Green Bay, who played on Monday night and
They
put up
got
a stinker.
walloped.
And you got the Houston Texans and the New York Jets, who have a chance at maybe
Are they
lining
all
up.
two-win teams? Or
Jets are 3.
yeah.
The Jets are 3. Houston's 2 wins. San Fran's 2 wins. New Orleans is 3. Green Bay is 3. So
It's funny, we're going to play a little reverse picture because you start to finagle instead of how do these combinations go to get into the playoffs, with your interconference and all that. Instead, we're trying to find out how
do you lose?
how do you get down there? You know
I
what
wish
mean?
myself that the Dolphins were as bad this year as they were last year, because
Just to get that
last
running
year,
back.
even though Ronnie Brown, I think, is going to be a very good NFL running back.
He's no Reggie Bush.
We would have had a choice of probably Leinart or Bush, and and it would have been tremendous. So,
Yep.
but hey, that's what it is. You got to go, and I think the teams will try to win, but
Drooling all over it.
absolutely.
My feeling about it is I think the Niners might actually beat the Saints. That's how bad the Saints are. It's almost like this gift for the Saints for what they had to go through this year. You know what I mean?
Is that game at home or at New Orleans?
Don't know. Don't know.
Okay, we can find out right now. Week 16, San Fran at St. Louis, and then it's Houston at San Fran.
Where the heck was I coming up with that?
I don't know. New Orleans is
Oh, is that
playing-
this past week? See what happens when you don't get to watch football all weekend?
New Orleans is playing Detroit. That's kind of a. Speaking of Detroit,
Yeah.
we can spend another half hour.
Well,
on Detroit.
either way, the battle's on. And,
But just going through the NFL real quick. I know we
Yep.
got some other things to talk about. Your other team. I mean, how many teams has he got?
Cincinnati.
How many teams has this guy got?
come on, I
folks?
talk about
Bah
everyone.
humbug.
I'm a 49ers fan, all right? But the
But-
past 3 years, when Cincinnati sucked that year and everybody was rooting to see if they'd go winless,
Yeah.
I was there for them. Something
So who
about
do you like? Who was your NFL
49ers
team?
are my team, but while they're in the land of suck,
You casually.
I'm enjoying Cincinnati right now.
Cincinnati.
Because I'm not an area diehard New England fan, I can do that. I can pick another team anywhere in the NFL, and I took Cincinnati well before the season started. As far
No, we'll do.
as
Let's
long
go.
as you know.
Let's go real quick through
Okay.
the divisions. You want to do that?
How much time we got, Farrah? 5 minutes. Because we gotta get through this email.
5
too.
minutes.
Time
That's
flies.
it?
Time flies when you're
Wow.
when
Well,
you're
I mean,
doing background checks.
we'll get more into football. And then next week we got our New Year's show. Where maybe we'll make some New Year's resolutions and wishes. That might
Right.
be a good idea.
I got
But the
one
New
for you
Eagles
right
obviously
now.
got the East wrapped up. Cincinnati, tremendous. Well, I shouldn't say tremendous win. They beat
A win.
Detroit, who's the only team I've ever seen to have a parade to fire the general
Oh, yeah.
manager.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
they're chanting it out in the
Cin-
stadium.
Cincinnati looks good. They got all the pieces. Carson Palmer, possible MVP. Tremendous job.
I agree.
The Steelers could sneak in. Of course, you go to Indianapolis. They're all locked up. Jacksonville has an easy schedule. They look like they could be the team to be at New England.
Yep.
Denver looks like they got the West locked up. San Diego and Kansas City play each other next week. Now, San Diego could miss the playoffs.
That'd
I'll
be
tell you, one of the
unbelievable.
better teams to miss the
That'd
playoffs
be
if they do.
unbelievable.
NFC Giants.
I'd love it.
They're probably going to win the NFC East.
I love it. How about Giants Patriots for all those old school?
Giants and Colts. Manning versus Manning.
Nah.
How about the Bears? It's 10-4.
Yep.
They shut Michael Vick down.
Yep.
Minnesota took a hit. They finally played a good team after that little mini streak and
Right.
right down. Carolina 10-4. Tampa 9-5. Tampa, and in all fairness to Tampa, that was their third road game in a row.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to take credit away from New England, but you know that was a tough spot for Tampa.
Sure.
And Seattle, of course, 12-2 can just about have everything.
You
locked up.
got you got some offensive juggernauts like Indy, Seattle, but look at what you see in the playoff picture: Carolina, Chicago, the New York Giants. Who was the other old school team? Possibly Pittsburgh. All these old school.
Grinded out the defensive
we've
teams,
never
yeah.
changed. You know,
And
blue
those
collar.
teams could be dangerous in the playoffs.
You bet.
You know,
they'll weigh you
the weather's
right
a
down.
big factor.
They'll weigh you right down. Even
Absolutely.
if you don't pull off the win, you'll be dead. Dead.
But we'll get more into football, of course, as the playoffs approach.
Yeah, send us your emails about what you think about the playoff picture or the Patriots picture for that matter. It's a sports show at yahoo.com. Emails are starting to come in now.
Yeah,
we
little
picked one
baseball.
out. Yeah, we got to talk a little baseball because we got to talk a little Nomar. We had
What's the email of the week?
WSCO4 at AOL.com. Maybe I shouldn't give that away. I'm not
I don't
sure.
think you should. Maybe we should bleep that
You didn't
out.
hear me say that. Well, they could send him emails. I don't care. All right, so from this point on, we won't say who you are, so keep sending us your emails. He talks about, he first of all, he wanted us to talk about the Nomar situation. This was before, we got this email before he signed with the Dodgers, which we're going to talk about real quick. They're saying, this emailer said, look, he could go to either the Yankees or the Dodgers. He wanted him to go to the Yankees because he's a Nomar fan and he wants to get to see him play because obviously Boston plays New York a lot. Yankees didn't happen. He ended up going with the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers had a better chance all along, being
Well,
that he wanted to be on the West Coast.
It's his home. Yeah, he's not too far away.
So he's another player, not necessarily a star player, but a high-profile name, changing positions for the benefit of getting his little one-year contract because he's still waiting for his big payday. How about LA's infield? They have completely revamped their infield. They have a whole new infield now. And it's funny because you see Boston going in the same direction. You got to wonder what the mentality is of these teams that are saying, look, instead of the big bats, let's get towards a more defensive-minded type thing. And Dave, who couldn't make the show today, we had to dedicate the Nomar talk to him because guarantee he'd be here talking about it. He wanted to name his kid Nomar.
We'll have to bring Dave in to get into some more baseball talk. But, I
Yeah.
mean, Nomar, I wouldn't want him on the Yankees. If you're a Red Sox fan, why would you want him on the Yankees? I mean, yeah, did you want to see him? I mean, get the dish and watch the Dodgers games. I don't.
Well, a lot of people probably of the mentality like I am, that Nomar's all washed up. Send him to the Yankees. That makes the Yankees that much weaker.
I think more importantly is what the Red Sox are going to do. They got a shortstop situation
Yeah.
they haven't taken care of.
They're working on it.
They named 2 general managers last week, which is kind of crazy
Joke.
to me.
Joke.
I don't know if we have enough time, but it's like, Theo could come in as a consultant. Hello? What happened with Theo? You had him. You could have had him.
Right.
And now he might be a consultant.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a
can't you
messed
go
up
to Theo and say,
situation.
well, what do you need?
It's a messed up situation. To finish
so-
off this email, another good point, well, not a good point that he makes. First of all, he doubts that Mike Lowe will do anything. So I guess I'm the only one sitting here that thinks that he will.
Probably. I would agree with the email. I know you are the only one, no doubt about that.
But what he's saying is if Manny leaves, Ortiz becomes your only big hitter, okay, and then he says then Ortiz will leave, which is ludicrous. Okay, he's under contract, so Ortiz isn't going anywhere. But I think he's elating to the fact that if Manny leaves, the Red Sox are really going to suck, okay? I got to disagree with that, and anybody that thinks that that's the case, because the Red Sox will not part with Manny for nothing, okay? They're going to get something in return. There's talks about Tejada. That would be outstanding. But the fact of the matter is, the Red Sox are not going to give away Manny Ramirez. The reason why winter meetings came and went and Manny's still in a Red Sox uniform is because nothing came Boston's way, and they're not just going to get rid of him for pennies on the dollar. There's a good chance that Manny is just going to stay here in Boston, stuck under his little stupid fig tree out in left field, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Well, that's a big. I mean, the email is right in a certain way. If Manny leaves, yeah, Ortiz is the big man.
Right. Well, he can handle that.
But the whole key is what the Red Sox get in return for Manny,
Right.
which we'll have to see. I mean, that's a big if. I mean, we need to see what
It
they
certainly
bring back.
has to be a bat. You can't give him up for a pitcher,
Well,
although that would be nice.
if you get a top-line pitcher, you could, because there's still talks about David Wells and so forth. But,
Right.
I mean, I'm glad the Red Sox are holding the line, because don't give Manny away. I mean, you can't replace this guy easily. They definitely need him, and they need the protection in the lineup, and that'll change things for Ortiz. I mean, they could walk the guy in every big situation
Right.
and go to like a Mike Lowell or whoever's batting fourth, fifth.
Be careful of Mike Lowe, baby.
Well,
big home runs coming from that man. I'm
There's
telling
still a
you.
long way to go in the
you.
baseball offseason, so
There's plenty to go
I think they'll
yet.
fix that lineup.
We'll get Dave in here to talk about the house suit. Thanks for your email. That's our email of the week. Make sure you sign them so we can thank you.
By the
You know
way,
who you are. It's a sports show at yahoo.com.
San Jose Sharks, I don't know if we got any time.
Ugh.
They've lost their first game ever since the Joe Thornton trade. I just want to throw
Yeah.
that in.
Wonderful.
Boston Bruins.
Once
Merry
again,
Christmas, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Thanks to Farrah and, of course, Mr. Mitch.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, whatever.
Bye, humbug.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.